Welcome to the Hunt Hike Harvest YouTube page, where we bring you over 50 years of expertise in professional strength conditioning and provide the first and only science-based, research-backed hunt prep that exists in the market today. Check out our podcast series from top leaders in the field, our training tips to improve backcountry performance, and gear reviews on top products to increase your knowledge base. Please like and subscribe to our page and leave your feedback so we can continue to better serve our audience.
You better hope that you never see me agitated. I think about my actions, plan them out, evaluated. That's how I end up on the top, man, I'm calculated. My mind's a weapon, my body is the enemy. Second guessing, yeah, buddy! I got the blessing, persistence and obsession. That's how you keep progressing, I already learned that lesson, yeah. I'm changing who I am, I'm making
Woo! Welcome to the H3O podcast. Joel Rather here as always. Today have another guest in the house. We had some lovely technical difficulties beforehand. We probably had an hour done at this point. Got Garrett Walker here today. Hi, Alpine Outdoors. Hunter, fisher, guide, Western Hunt Fest extraordinaire, you name it. It's where we met, but it's good to have you. Good, thanks, dude. It's nice.
Thanks for finally having me. We've talked about it for a year now, so
it's been about that time.
Stoked,
yeah,
to be honest.
So I got a text yesterday. You're like, I want to be up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do it. So we figured it out. As luck would have it, like, of course, everything was running smooth until we put computers into the mix, and it's just kind of the way it goes. So but hopefully things will work out here. And so tell us, you got like long backstory of some stuff here I want to get into, because a lot of this I don't even know, right? Which is, tell us about High Alpine. I want to talk about how you got into guiding, and we'll talk about some hunting. We'll talk about Western Hunt Fest. We'll just kind of maneuver our way around.
Cool. So owner operator of High Alpine Outdoors. We've started. It's our 5th year going, 6th year actually. Right now, all I do is guide fishing trips at Antero, ice fishing, boat fishing, walk and wade. We do have a little bit of private water access too for fly anglers. And that's how we started. And I had a business partner for a while, and he found out that there's not much money in doing a pretty much DIY guiding, and he was out pretty quick. So
yeah,
I've just ran with it, and I have a full-time day job.
Yeah.
But I love doing it on the side. And then on top of that, we were asked to do just one simple t-shirt for BHA a handful of years ago. So we made just a shirt for them to sell at a pint night. And I sold out of t-shirts in a few hours. I'm like, oh, we might have a thing here. So now I have like a full-on clothing line that's kind of just built its way up. And they're all of our logos that we build are all animals that me or my friends have harvested. So you can tell that this is an elk that my buddy shot his first archery elk bull. So we made it into a t-shirt. So yeah, it's kind of just kind of fall into all my adventures, I feel like. But
and that's all right? Like, I think organically, right? If you let things come to you, right? I mean, I think for us, Hunt Hike Harvest was kind of that way, which is, we just managed to start merging what I do for a living with what I love to do. And I think Jason pushed me kind of a little bit in that direction. And he's like, well, I can do this stuff and you can do that stuff. And I think if we kind of work on them together, then it'll be something that might be worth doing. And we never had any huge jump where it was like, all right, we're going to go do this and it's going to take this much money and, yada. And it's like, and I think that if you find some success, or at least you don't put yourself in a lot of pressure, then there's, who knows where it can go, right? It kind of sounds like similarly for you.
But right now I don't have any booked trips. If anyone wants to come fishing with me, plug.
Right. Drop a link in.
Yeah, right. And I'm not worried about it. Like, they'll happen, and it's all good. I'm not.
Well, I know that I tried to be one of your clients numerous times. Yeah. I'm the worst when it comes to that, which is like taking people up, like, hey, whenever you want to go, let me know. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about doing that with duck hunting. We've talked about doing that with ice fishing.
Boat fishing.
Yeah, I mean, and I grew up on water, and so it's like I miss a lot of that stuff because I mean, realistically, since I moved to Colorado, it's like I haven't done that much of it, and some of it is knowing water, knowing where to go, those types of things. I grew up on lakes, right? Like I grew up Lake McConaughey, which is a massive, walleye and white bass and striper and whatever. And ice fishing for us was like going to up in the sand hills, and we'd go to like small lakes and we'd catch perch and bluegill, and occasionally we'd run into a bass or something like that. And then we'd do some trout fishing on the little lake below my parents' house, which was a little bit deeper water. And it's like, man, once you start ice fishing, it's like, I don't know. I think ice fishing is a lot like, in the sense, like how I think of elk hunting too, where it's like, once you do it, like, this is awesome.
You get into it.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember my first adventure ice fishing. My brother bought like one of those hand augers.
Oh yeah.
And then, but we'll take the hand auger and to the hunting blind. We see everyone else is in a pop-up. We have a hunting blind. This is going to be sweet. Yeah. Went out there and the ice auger didn't even like shave the ice.
It was dull.
It was dull as heck. So I had an axe in my truck, and we just went and punched some holes. And
hell yeah.
We didn't catch a thing. But you know what? We did it. And like,
yeah,
that's kind of what started it all. And I didn't catch a fish. And for me, not being successful at something pisses me off. I'm like, oh, hell, I got to figure this out. So we fished hard until we figured it out. And then a couple years later, we had the opportunity to start guiding, and now we're here. So
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was how you started ice fishing,
Yeah.
right? Which is funny because like I was born in North Dakota.
Okay.
So for me, like it's literally like grumpy old men, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like everyone goes out on the weekend. The ice is like this thick, so you just pull your car out onto the lake or the pond or wherever the hell you're going, and it was a gathering, right?
Yeah.
And so like that's how I got introduced, because it was like, oh, we're going ice fishing. I'm like, okay, cool. And since I lived here, it's like I used to try and get back, and I'd go with my dad, like at least once a year or something like that, because it's just different. Like, most of the water here is not what I'm accustomed to, and I never know. Like, I'm like you, I hate not being successful. So it's like I go to places where I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, well, this should be, once I just get like super lucky, which I never am. I think it's one of those things where, I always enjoy going with someone the first time, where it's like, okay, what do you know?
Yeah, 100%.
And not that I'm gonna like take advantage of it, but I think that there's fishing is so hard, man. Like so talk about that in a sense, like, because people come to you and they book a trip, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of like where they go, click, okay, good, I'm gonna have an awesome time, right? Like, talk us through that piece of it, because obviously you talk about where you fish, and how do you manage that process, which is like you have to try and create a good experience, put them on fish, right? Like, talk about your process a little bit in terms of that stuff.
So we'll start with ice fishing, since we're kind of on there.
Yeah.
I start the day off with saying, we're going to have fun. You're going to stay warm. You're going to eat well. You drink a lot of coffee. We're going to crush the coffee. But like, so Antero's a trophy, big fish, but not a ton of them. So they're not going to be sitting there like you would your bluegill and just pow, pow, pow.
Right.
So I let them know right off the bat, even like on a phone call before a trip, like, hey, we're going to have a good time. And if you catch like one or two fish, it's going to be sweet. It's going to be worth it, because they're usually big fish.
Yeah.
But I preface it early on with like, it's fishing,
right?
We're gonna look for big fish and hopefully catch a couple, and then if we crush it for the day, obviously,
then
that's sweet. But we've had days that are just super slow, and we're catching one or two fish for the day on a half-day trip. And can't guarantee them for sure anything more than that. So all my ice fishing trips are, like you said, like they're pretty much parties on the ice. I bring out a grill. I have a little Blackstone, and we do it right. That way, they have a good time even though there's no fish.
You create an experience.
Yep, 100%. Because that's all I can guarantee is
For sure.
a fun day, and if we catch fish, sweet.
Yeah.
You get on the boat with me, we're gonna move and groove until we that's fishing
For sure.
and
that's totally different.
I'll lose sleep if we don't catch fish on the boat, but
and so
totally different.
in terms of being on the boat, right, and most of the fishing you're doing, what's your Colorado, like in my brain I just go trout fishing, right?
Yep.
Is that kind of your main thing, or you?
Yep. So Antero's just trout, brown trout, rainbows, cutbows. There are a handful of tiger muskie in there. We've caught about a handful of them.
Yeah.
Yep. They're fun.
Those are beasts.
Unless we're targeting them, we're fishing for trout. So we're on 4-pound test. You catch one on there, and I'm stoked to net it because I'm like, we're not going to net this fish. We're not going to net this fish. We've had some 32, 34-inch tiger muskies on 4-pound tests going,
good luck.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works. So.
Well, like I remember growing up, the state record striper is on like the lake I grew up on.
Oh, really?
And like a pastor hooked into this thing, walleye fishing at night. And like right now, the walleye are running like crazy. And so like I'm watching all my buddies and guys I know, and like, local stuff going up, and guys are pulling out, 27, 28-inch freaking walleye that are 10, 12, 13 freaking pounds, And some guy, like when I was a kid, hooked into a striper on 6-pound test and fought it for an hour and landed, and it was 50.
Oh,
50 pounds.
Thank goodness he knew what he was doing.
I mean, like, and I remember, and of course there, it's like, it's big news, it was like, oh my gosh.
It's in the paper.
Yeah, it's in the paper, right? Like, and it might still, I'd have to go look. I don't know, maybe we'll find that. But, yeah, I mean, like, if that was me, no chance. Like, he's got
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Like, but ice fishing's similar to that though too, right? When you get fish that run and fish that want to like really fight, like you got to be super, super gentle, and you can't be too jerky. I mean, even the hole will cut.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, like when we catch a good fish and you tell it's a good fish, I mean, those fish are super healthy. So all my drags on all my clients' rods are so light, like they think they're fighting it. You're not doing anything yet, but and I'll go elbows deep all day long to keep that little line from breaking on that ice. 'Cause, you don't want it to go out that way and snap on. So
yeah. So been doing it for like 5 or 6 years now, right? Like
guiding for like 6 years.
Yeah. Talk about like the things that you have found, like lessons learned type stuff, right? That's either enhanced or improved client experience, or enhanced or improved based on like maybe lessons learned, right? Where you go like, ooh, yeah, that didn't work out. Or like, oh, I should have done this differently or whatever.
I touched on probably the biggest too is being like, hey, we might not catch a fish.
Being upfront.
Like just alleviating that stress on me. And then also that, like, I mean, how it is to go fish, even you go fish alone, and once you catch that first fish, you're like, oh, I didn't get stumped. It's a better day.
Right.
Like, so when a client catches their first fish, I'm like, oh, sweet, we're on the board. We're good. You know what I mean? I can breathe.
Right.
But not letting the time from that getting there to that first fish stress me out, just like, just having fun. It's just fishing.
Yeah.
And then realizing like coaching, because most of my clients, they're not anglers. They're new, very new. So just learning how to coach people on how to manipulate a fish, even off the boat, like reeling or like, oh, stop reeling, let it run. Just little things that at first I was like, oh,
they don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't.
How much of that do you do with people?
Like explaining?
As far as like, okay, do you Q&A a little bit to find out before you unfortunately find out?
Now I do, but first couple of years I was like, oh, or I'd have people who want to fly fish.
Right.
So we're boat full of fly gear. And I get there and they don't know how to fly fish, which is sweet, but so we can learn, because off the boat it's sweet. Your back cast can be as horrible as it needs to be, you know, because
Yeah.
you don't have trees or anything. So it's a good place to learn.
Right.
But if you're trying to catch fish, so first few clients was all
Yeah. Short little camera glitch there, no big deal. But
glitch number 2 for the
yeah,
day.
or 6 or whatever the heck we're on at this point. But
Yeah.
so I mean, like, I think that's kind of what I meant, right? Which is like lessons learned, where I think a lot of times, like if you go fishing with somebody, you go hunting with somebody, like even, you know, in my job where it's like, if I have an athlete come in, the number of times that I've just made an assumption of like, oh, wait, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Or, oh, they've never done this. Or like, that's why they're there, right? Like it's comes with coaching, it comes with mentoring, it comes with guiding, right? Which is, you know, people are expecting you, like, they're like, oh, you're the expert, show me, take me, find me success, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of parallels in that, right? What kind of, so obviously fishing for you was long before you started guiding, right? Like, what was that decision where you're like, I think I want to be a fishing guide?
So I kind of hit when you and I were off air. We talked about it a little bit. My day job, I do maintenance stuff, and I used to travel April to August. Just traveled, but I always took a fishing rod, and I just fished my tail off all the time. And we lost a little bit of work, so we lost the contract, and I really didn't have anything to do. And at that point, I was fly fishing every single night because I was traveling. So anywhere I could fish, little pond behind the hotel, I was fishing, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling pretty fishy. So when we lost that contract on my day job, I'm just gonna walk into a fly shop and I'm just gonna fish for someone else. And if it's a weekend gig, sweet, but I just wanted to fish, and that's pretty much how I originally started. I was just gonna try to get hired on as a guide or even a fly shop kid, and just be in the industry.
Something else to
just
do.
be in the industry a little more because I was
Yeah.
just so obsessed with it. And then at that time, a friend of mine's like, let's do our own thing. Yeah. And so, but it was just wanting to,
Just that.
yeah.
Like, wasn't a long thought out.
No, not at all. It was like a couple beers later, and we're like, hey, let's start a company. So
there you go.
that's all it took.
And was that High Alpine was born then?
Yep, pretty much. Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
Okay.
And I thought I'd have all these permits and be taking people everywhere, but
Yeah.
I found out once we became an outfitter, it's a little harder than that. So
Right.
we're getting there. But
And I think we've had some guides on the show. You know, we talked about Les, before,
Yeah.
Les Welch. If you haven't seen that episode, go check it out. It's really good. He guides in multiple states. He's been back in Wisconsin recently and was doing turkey hunts where he lives. He bagged 8 or 9 turkeys, 8 days in a row.
dang.
Not too long ago, and I was like, holy crap, man. And he goes, yeah, you should come out. And I was like, well, yeah, that'd be cool. But I'm like, I could just go home and get one real fast too.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I want to go to Wisconsin, don't get me wrong, but not to get a turkey.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of that people don't understand too, right? Like the process of being a guide, there's a lot more to it, right? And I know you and I talked about this previously, not today, but in the past, where you talked about permitting and water that you can actually gain access to. So if you just say oh, cool, I have my guide license now, you don't just have free reign to just go to any place you can fish, right?
Not at all.
Talk a little bit about that, because when you told me that, I'd never heard that before, and I was like, really? I had no idea. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's something that maybe people probably don't understand. I know I didn't understand until you actually brought it up.
Yeah. Even after 5 years, I still don't exactly understand it because there's so much runaround and entities you talk to. But so I'm a full outfitter.
Yeah.
And you need to be an outfitter. There's a few different ways you can guide and we're just talking fishing right now, but you can, there's a handful of different ways you can get to this point. But then after that, you need permitting for even just a small section of water. They split it sometimes. And some of that permitting's state wildlife area, some of it's state parks, and you need to have a commercial use permit for the certain sections. So every lake has some entity of national forest.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I waved to the camera again.
No, you're good.
National forest or a CPW that you have to get a permit through.
Yeah.
Because Colorado's as overflowing as it is, all these permits are occupied. So pretty much what I've learned out of the 5 years is I have to pretty much buy another company out to expand to have more permitting.
So the next part of that B portion of the question is, if you were to, like, those people who have permits in specific areas, whether it's specific runs of water, specific bodies, whatever that might be, when they get that permit, that ownership, if you will, of that specific place, is there no expiration to those things? Is there not reapplication, or is it one of those where it's like, oh, well, so-and-so has always had that, and if it comes back up, they're grandfathered into just renewing it? Like, talk a little bit, because, like, to me, this is all just bizarre.
Yeah, it's also bizarre to me, and I don't exactly know because I haven't made it to step B. And a little bit that, like I said earlier, I have a full-time job, so I just do a little bit of guiding. So I feel like if I was full-time into it, I'd be digging into it way more. Like I'd have to at that point, like find more permits. But from someone might DM me and be like, he's totally wrong, and I probably am, and it's why I don't have extra permits. But from talking to people who have permits, you pay, most places you pay a little bit, a percentage to that entity for your permit. Like if you have so many trips, you pay a percentage of your trips income. I don't exactly know what it is.
Right.
To that entity.
So bottom line,
don't be
being a fishing guide is not as easy as it sounds.
Just go walk into a fly shop and go work for somebody.
Right. Well, and I would assume too, just like with most things, right, in any profession, right, it becomes working and improving your network. It becomes improving relationships. It becomes, going and seeking out where opportunity could arise from, and at the same time finding doors that might be open that just you need to explore. You got to try and find a person that has the right connection, or they can introduce you to the right person. I mean, like, I feel like that's no different than in a lot of things, whether that's business and life or whatever that might be, right? And so from there, right, if you were in the position you are, which is like you told me beforehand, you're like, yeah, this is what I do, this is my job, I'm out doing what I got to do and that type of thing. Like, is the goal for High Alpine to be what you do? Is that like, you're like, someday this is going to be my gig, and it's going to be hunting, and it's going to be fishing, and it's going to be apparel, and like selling full send, and I'm in?
One day.
Yeah.
One day. It's one of those things, like, I feel like one day I'll just be like, I got to do it. I got to make that leap. But right now, 3 kids at home, steady jobs, a necessity.
Having income is kind of a good thing usually. Yeah. Don't want one of these businesses.
Yeah, right. Whatever. This is sweet. This is great. We got to talk about it, and it's one of those things. I don't know if we talked about it on air. I'm just waiting. I'm not holding still. Like, I'm always pushing forward a little bit, but I'm not.
Sure.
I know
it's weighing
friendships like
risk
this.
Reward,
yeah.
Right?
And everyone we meet in all these events, like, it'll pay out one day, and
for sure
we'll get permitting, or maybe I'll just buy a permit and we'll start elk hunting. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm always listening. So
for sure, and I think it's kind of like you're always keeping your eyes and ears open, and I think that what we found since we started kind of just slowly chipping away at getting into the space was start reaching out. Yeah. And I mentioned before we got on, I mean, Steve Chappell, like the first person that ever was on our podcast, I just reached out. He didn't know me from Adam, and I was like, hey, how's it going, dude? I obviously didn't call him dude, and he was completely gracious and amazingly friendly when he didn't have to be. And I think the thing that I found, and I haven't crossed over obviously into that space of guiding, because I think you get a lot more ownership and you get a lot more protectiveness of people trying to manage and maintain their business and their space, right? But we've been so openly, I think, welcomed by so many people as we've done some of this stuff. And so, I think you'll find a time and you'll find a place, and you just have to continue doing things like this and being open to where those things might lead to, and you never know, right?
Yeah.
And because I tell people all the time the same thing. Like, if I could turn Hunt Hike Harvest and our new little venture here into something that was completely solvent, that would allow me to get to do that stuff more,
Easy.
I'm in.
Yeah, done deal.
Right?
Yeah. Where do I sign?
Yeah. So
The hoops.
yeah. So do you envision getting into hunting guiding as well? Then I assume.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to like guide hunting and like do it for a living?
So we're making this transition now, right?
Yeah.
You obviously were introduced to hunting and fishing. Was it a family affair type thing?
Yeah.
Was it something that you were just like, that looks cool, I want to go do it? Like, talk a little bit about your origins with that. And then I want to talk a little bit about, like, we're going to pit the two versus each other, right?
Oh, no.
If you could hunt or if you could fish. Which one are we doing? If you got your bucket list here. So start a little bit with, hunting and fishing, like where that became a part of your life, and then we'll work into making you make bad choices.
Hard decisions.
Hard decisions.
Difficult ones.
Yeah.
So I took my hunter safety like every 13-year-old, 12-year-old kid should. I was so excited. Drew some tags. Back when you draw like a handful of tags.
Now, before you go further, did you grow up here?
Yep, Colorado. Yep.
Colorado
Born and
native?
raised here, yeah.
Born and raised, holy cow.
Yeah.
There are few and far between.
It's crazy, huh?
I know my wife is one of those as well, which is bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see many of those.
So I took my hunter safety and went out with stepdad's grandpa.
Okay.
And, like we're talking like Fred, like 3 months after hunter safety, and he broke so many rules, like big rules, right off the bat. And I was like, I'm done. He was supposed to be my mentor,
Right.
and I was like, just pretty turned off by it. But I wanted to hunt, hard. Like I wanted to hunt, and I wanted to fish, and
You're into it.
I was into it, but I didn't have an adult to take me, so it just kind of fizzled out, and I didn't do it until a guy I worked with. He's like, hey, you want to go on an elk hunt? Sure. Borrowed some of his stuff. We went on an OTC elk hunt. And day
How old were you in this?
18.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
18, 19 maybe. Day 2, he shot a bull, and that was all it took.
And you're like, this is awesome.
This is it.
Yeah.
And I used to rock all my youth. If I wasn't wrestling during wrestling season, I was rock climbing or mountaineering, and that's what I did. So I've always been in the mountains, in the woods, and more endurance sports, but climb, like big wall climbing, like we climbed as a kid, like what I did. And I kind of just started climbing less and hunting a little more, just like everyone else does, like going out LTC and walking around. And
sure.
And I picked up a bow, and once again, just not being good at it,
that changes everything.
Me off, and I just figured out all on my own.
Well, it's crazy to me because I was talking with somebody you and I met at Western Hunt Fest, and that's been 3-4 years ago now, probably, or whatever, right? And someone from there that I was talking to today was asking me about it was Jeff. And so Jeff is one of the owners of Western Hunt Fest, and he goes, our upcoming event in New Mexico is going to be the first time that we have a rifle competition, which is going to be awesome. And I have no idea. And thankfully, like, their range managers are going to operate that portion of. Of course, really smart that we're not doing that.
Thank goodness.
And he goes, are you going to bring your rifle? And I go, if I can find it. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I shoot my bow.
Yeah.
It's like,
we're bow hunters.
I was like, I literally, my rifle has not had a round chambered in it in probably 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not one. Never for fun. Never just because it's not seen a single ray of sunshine in probably 10 years.
You don't ever I'll chase cows in 4th season.
No.
See, we're opportunity hunters. Cow hunt? Yeah, we're in. Like, we start.
No. Don't get me wrong. I have hunted a couple times. Like I have an old 30-06 that might be as old as you and I combined. And I just don't like it. And I started getting into bow hunting however many years ago now. And I just have always looked at it and said, like, I should get another rifle. I don't like that one. It doesn't have a very good optic on it. I've never cared enough to like update it, anything like that, right? And then I'm like, I don't want to spend that kind of money. I'd rather buy more bow hunting stuff and, invest in the next adventure or something. Spend $3,000, $4,000 on a new nice, because I don't enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
Like, everything about September to me and being out there at that time of year when they're screaming and when you're chasing and when you're trying to get on them and get in that range, like I never enjoyed, like I didn't grow up with that. Like, I told you I grew up in flatter ground. I've lived in Colorado for almost 25 years now. So approaching half of my life. And my first elk hunt was when I was 24, 25 years old. And a friend of mine that had always elk hunted, his family, they used to guide on the South Gate of Yellowstone. Talked about it all the time. Finally, I'm like, what do I got to do to go on one of these hunts? So the first 7 or 8 years I elk hunted was all rifle hunting. And I just didn't enjoy the impersonal, like the distance of, let's get to here and we can pick them off at 300, 400 yards. And I'm like, well, that's cool and all. The first elk or two that I shot, that was how I was able to fill a tag. And now I'm like, I like the challenge. I want to be in the kitchen, that type of thing. It's just hard to beat.
We're like 400 yards, you're just starting. That's cute. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's an elk, but it's not dead. Far from it.
I know when, like Sam Westfall, right? Sam had told me that he stopped rifle hunting because he's military background, whatever, and like he's a very, very affluent, capable shooter. And he goes, the last elk that I shot like, I don't remember, he said it was 600 some yards, and he goes, that's when I realized like I need to do something else. And I was like, yeah,
that's a poke.
That's a poke.
I'm not. Yeah.
I'm not capable of taking that shot, and I never would. But it's like, so
some of those guys though, that's standard. That's like us shooting 80, 100 yards. Maybe not in an elk, but like we have it. We know what our bows do. Yeah. They know what their rifles do. Rifles do. So.
Yeah.
It's a different game.
So you grew up, started getting into that.
Yep.
First experience, not a great experience. Then you get
a good experience.
An unreal experience.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
2 days in.
Shoots a bull.
You're like, whoa.
Yep. So then we hunted a couple more days, and I had some opportunities, but I was an 18-year-old kid who shot a gun at 100 yards, and like not prepared for elk hunting, and kind of wallowed in some opportunities, messed them up, and then I just really wanted to learn it alone. My wrestling coach, he outfitted and he guided, and he told me I could pretty much follow him to the tree where I would just shoot a bull. I said, man, I want to shoot a bull, but I don't want you to hold my hand doing it. I want to, I want to figure it out.
Right.
So I hunted all over the state, just OTC, messing around. And it took me 8 years until I shot my first bull.
Yeah.
And that was sweet. And I loved every moment of those 8 years.
For sure.
It was hard. And I learned, you can't not learn anything in elk woods.
No.
So, every season I'm like, well, we got closer, I went full draw on 3 bulls. I was picky really early on too. I still am. Like I've never wanted to shoot a raghorn. Like, sweet for anyone who does, but even day one, I'm like, I'm good. I don't know. It's just one of those.
I've changed over the years. Where for me it was like, I just wanted to shoot an elk. I wanted to fill a tag. Then I wanted to shoot a bull, right?
Yeah.
And then I've gone, quite a while where I haven't filled a tag. Like I actually late in one hunt 3, 4, 5 years ago or whatever, had a chance where we were in elk. It was bonkers. And my only opportunity was like a cow comes and I got her to stop, like literally where I had a yardage. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And she was quartering away. and shot fine blood. She ran on a private ground, and we tried to track her, and we're like, oh man, and like we ended up, really being cautious because, again, being ethical and everything else. Like we tried to do everything we could, and ended up like never finding her.
Yeah.
And and so it's like from that moment on, I've now gotten to where I'm like, okay, I start every hunt with high expectations. And and I'm like, I really want to shoot a nice bull. Then I'm like, then I want to shoot a bull. And then when it gets down to the 11th hour, I just want to try and fill the freezer.
Right.
And so, I think for me, it's like being realistic about it, which is my first and foremost. And I find even just interestingly, people I think sometimes kind of give me these like one of those looks where like I've never even had a lot of desire to hunt deer in my life, to be honest. I think I'm going to draw a good deer tag this year, which would be cool. And
archery.
Hopefully get to go with Jared, my buddy who's been on our podcast as well. But like for me, it's because I love elk. I love eating. The meat itself, right, is like so amazing, and that's why I don't chase pronghorn. I don't really like pronghorn that much, and so like I think those are things too where it's like I've narrowed my focus to just being like it's what I enjoy the most. It's what I actually want to harvest the most, and I don't just go chase things to get trophies and put things up on the wall and stuff like that. Like it's never been how I've operated. But man, it'd be nice to shoot a good bull. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everyone's journey. Because like I was probably year 3, I was full draw on a cow. I could not shoot her.
Yeah,
she was like 20 yards. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I was like, shoot her. I can't go chase bulls and learn. And
yeah.
I let her walk and ate that tag. But
yeah,
I don't know. Everyone's got their own little
for sure.
They're like niche.
That's okay.
And that's the best part about it, right? Like.
I used to hunt with it. Like there was a guy in that original camp that I talked about a little bit ago, and he was he'd go by. He was always solo. And we'd go out and it was like partner hunting, and there would be 2 or 3 of us, and we'd go out and trench run together and cover ground. And he would always get up and he'd leave before anyone else. He would go to areas that none of us ever went, and we didn't know where the heck he was going. And he would come back and be like, "Yeah. I saw a really nice 6 today, but he's not the one." And we're like, what?
There.
Yeah, we're like, huh? And I saw that guy for like multiple years pass up bulls that most people would die to have the opportunity on. And he was just like, nah, just wasn't symmetrical on this side. I just couldn't. And we're just like going, is this guy crazy?
Yeah.
And he was every year, like he was willing, and he would always get an elk, and he would always find elk, and he would always be in a position where it's like, oh my gosh, like I need to follow this guy and put a tracker on him.
Do you think it's because he didn't shoot a day 1 raghorn, so he had all of September to hunt? So he learned that's 30 days of knowledge. So
I don't know. I mean, everybody knows guys like that. I think that they just have a knack for finding places to go.
Yeah.
They spend more time than a lot of people, which I fully respect. And I think that, like you said, everybody else is different. Everybody else has their wants and likes and needs and stuff like that. And it's like, the older I get, the more I just value the freezer.
Yeah.
And more than anything is, we just talk about, I just want good experiences. That to me is the best part. When people ask us what do we do? I'm like, my goal is to enrich people's experiences. Right? It sounds like, you said it when you prefaced your, talking to clients. Hey, we want you to have a good time.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's a great place to start, because if they don't have a good experience, and especially if it's early and they haven't had a lot of experience, you're their chance, right?
Yeah.
So how about people that maybe didn't have a good experience? What do you do in those situations?
Like client-wise?
Oh yeah.
I always make a deal. If we get skunked, I'll give them like a discount. Like come back. Like it's unacceptable. Come fish for me. With me for like half off, depending on who they are. Like if they're super cool, like come fish with me for free. Like
Yeah.
We'll get it going. Man, that was one thing I had to layer on. Like, some people are gonna leave not super happy. Like, they might be comfortable and fed, and I had one client. He did better than most people. He caught a handful of fish, but they weren't that like 23, 25-inch
Right.
rainbow. Like, it was like he caught a couple of 16s. And he wasn't happy, and I was like, had to let that one walk, and that was a life lesson. Like, my job is to make everyone happy, but you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah, you're never gonna win that one.
No, I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
No. We gave away a BHA trip one time. I don't know if these people will listen. I highly doubt it. But a lady won, and she brought her husband or boyfriend, and then they brought a couple of friends, and friends sat in the hut and watched football on their phone all day. Sweet. Like, everyone else had a great time outside.
Yeah.
They came out all pissy because they didn't catch fish and went to the truck, and I was like, we're all out here barbecuing, and you're out in there. So
Yeah.
you had
Only so much you can do.
yeah, for sure. But really,
So
most people understand, like, it's fishing, so.
yeah, it's the same thing. Jason always says that. That's why it's called hunting.
Yeah.
And not killing.
Not guaranteed.
Right. Like, that's part of the process is you're trying to match knowledge and experience and everything else with figuring out how to find success. And
Yeah.
it's a pretty unlevel playing field.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we got into, all right. You grew up in, hunting. You always loved fishing. You started carrying your fishing pole everywhere and that type of thing. So talk about slicing the onion now, right? Someone said, Garrett, you gotta make a choice. You gotta choose one or the other.
To do for fun or to guide? Or like,
Oh man,
I'm
see,
digging
that's
deep
not
now.
true. So let's say for you personally.
That would be hunt. Actually, it'd be hunt for both of them.
Never mind my question.
Never mind.
Yeah, you're like, no, it would be hard.
It would be hunting.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely love to fish, but
Yeah.
you can't beat hunting.
I'm the same.
I can't do it. But we're opposite. I can't wait for August 15th to chase pronghorn with the bow. Like,
Really?
if it's if it's in season,
Yeah.
probably pretty excited about it.
Yeah,
But everything.
it's
I
just
love chasing pronghorn with a bow. It's so hard.
yeah. I'd love to go, and I would go without even carrying a bow.
Mhm.
I think I'm also one of those people where if you showed me like a really good hunt or a good experience, I'd be like, okay, that was pretty cool.
We'll know in a few days, but I should draw a tag.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know.
Okay. So maybe, who knows? Maybe Garrett's going to convert me, but I think that's part of it too, right? I think it's better, like, take ice fishing. Ice fishing's a classic one for that. People go, how the hell you want to go do that?
No.
It's so friggin' cold and this and that. And I'm like, let me guess, you never went.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it looks dumb. And you're like, okay,
Let's go.
yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things. And I think that's a way with a lot of things.
Mhm.
For me, I bet if you took me on a really good pronghorn hunt, I might be like, yeah, maybe this is pretty cool. And I love any kind of hunting. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I grew up bird hunting.
Yeah.
Grew up upland hunting. Grew up in amazing waterfowl country where I got spoiled
Yeah, you
to
did.
absolute
I
death.
don't even exactly know where you lived, but yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So.
And so, like, I value those things, and I think that those are also. I hope I draw a moose tag this year. If I draw that moose tag, oh my gosh, the whole year's gonna be entirely different.
Yeah,
for me,
100%.
right? So, all right. So, if you bucket list it, what's on the bucket list for your number one hunt and your number one fish?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
If you could have one of each for the rest of your life,
Like, if I could go on one hunt and then call it a day, or I call it done.
and that's it.
Oh,
What is it?
it'd have to be some like crazy sheep hunt, like something.
Yeah.
An ibex. Like, I'm afraid to go on my first sheep hunt.
Yeah.
Or like go on with somebody because
Like,
I think
so one of the stands.
yeah,
like-
exactly. But even like if I was to join someone in a Rocky Mountain sheep hunt in their backyard, I feel like I want to look at elk hunt because I feel like I would be one of those guys.
You might like it too much.
Turns into a sheep hunter. Yeah. So one like an ibex, like one of those crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they are because I try to avoid it because
if I learn too much,
I'll start digging in.
Right.
And that'd be definitely like trophy or like bucket list.
Yeah.
Just the adventure, just like
I know
being in those big mountains.
I know
those big mountains.
A friend of mine that works for Hornady, he shot one of those crazy Tajikistan ibex, whatever the hell looking things a couple years ago, and he's right on the border of like Iraq or whatever, like over there, where I was like, that seems a little wild, right?
It's wild.
And he said that hunting in that country was so hard. He said it was the gnarliest country to try and hunt in.
I think that's why I want to do it.
Right.
Like, it's like, I don't want to summit Everest. That's everyone. Not everyone does. You know what I mean? There's a line to do that, but.
It's so funny you mentioned that. Crazy side note, and I'm not going to derail the conversation. A friend of mine just summited Everest.
Heck yeah.
4 days ago.
Nice.
No, 5 days ago. Yeah.
That's sweet. That was my childhood goal, is to summit Everest.
I have no desire to go do that.
Yeah.
I know the guy, he's a beast.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's awesome though.
Continuing on.
But that would be it. Some sort of stand, ibex.
Yeah.
And it's wild, like just traveling to there would be so out of my comfort.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's, I feel like, and then the mountaineering, it's legit mountain. And like,
yeah.
Not Rocky Mountain elk hunting. Like, that's easy mountaineering, but like mountaineering to go shoot something. Yeah. Sweet. Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. Fish? Ooh. No. So we are going to Florida in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
A little side rail, and I've never saltwater fished.
I have neither.
And my wife says, well, actually, call her my wife. I probably introduced you as my wife.
Yeah.
We're getting officially married.
Yeah. Do have a lot in common with things like that.
Yeah. But she goes to Florida. She used to go to Florida all the time.
Yeah.
And she says once I start saltwater fishing,
we're in trouble.
I'll be different. It'll be equivalent to going sheep hunting. So I have my little.
Are you talking like? Do you have plans to go like deep sea?
We're not going deep. We booked an inshore.
Yeah.
And red snapper, I think, is in season.
Yeah.
I've already talked. We have booked a guide. He's super cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, she said, wait till you go catch any saltwater fish.
Yeah.
And it's all over. And my plans will change probably. Because right now I'd probably say like Icelandic brown trout. But she's like, wait till you catch something out of the salt. Like, then we'll talk.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That'll change in a couple of weeks. I have.
I don't know that I could answer that question as well either. Like on the fishing side of it.
It's tough.
Because,
once again, it's the adventure to me.
Yeah. I grew up with so much amazing fishing opportunities.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything like in my head where I go, man, if I could just catch one of these, like I feel like it's the same. I don't think about it the same as I do with hunting.
Yeah.
At all.
I'd rather be like, hey, you want to hike into this crazy bowl and catch a couple cutties?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
For sure.
I'm not zero bragging. Like, I've caught enough fish in my life. I'm like, yeah, sweet, cool fish, Like,
yeah.
But
there are people, right, that have that same passion for fishing.
Oh, 100%.
That are
the
like,
target and the
that say,
size.
I've got, I want to catch such and such fish, and I want it, to be this big, and people that chase master angler stuff, I mean, this stuff's awesome, and I I applaud it just the same as anything else, but yeah, I don't know, there's just something different about, I mean, I was really, the coolest fishing trip I've been on was my dad and my brother did an Ontario float plane trip once. And it was right around, right after I got out of college or something like that. And that was awesome.
I bet.
And we had amazing guide, shore lunches every day. I mean, it was like one of those border lake places up there where we'd go meet the guy in the morning. He's like, what do you want to catch? We're like, walleye. He's like, okay, cool.
Over here.
Over here. We're like, what do you want to catch now? And he'd fish until noon, and then he'd I call them lunchers, so you catch fish that you were going to eat for lunch.
Heck yeah.
And then you catch your limit, and then he'd move on. So I was like, smallmouth. And like, okay, cool. Northern pike.
That's
okay.
sweet.
and he just would buzz us around. And like, we literally just did that. We did that for, I think we fished for like three full days.
Wow.
And yeah, we took a float plane, which was cool. I've never done that before. Yeah. And so like, for me, that was like probably as good of a buck. Like for me, I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I would go do it again. Don't get me wrong, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see. We'll have to circle back on.
Yeah, I'll also have a salt life sticker on my truck.
Right? You'll be one of those guys.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
I'm in it, and we'll know to be moving. No.
Yeah. Do you remember Mike Barnes? The guy, he was in our booth last year at Bailey. He's one of our staff guys. Mike just did one of those fishing trips.
Okay.
Down in Florida somewhere. He invited me. He's like, hey, you want to go on this thing? And it was pretty reasonable. I was like, yeah, kind of. And they caught some tuna.
Mm-hmm.
He caught like a 75-pound tuna, I think.
That's crazy.
And I was like, that looked pretty fun.
That looks super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to go on like another charter, like go target shark or something, but
yeah,
we packed so much stuff in the 10 days we're there, so it's okay. We're both bringing fly rods and.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll go to the surf and I'll try to catch a couple fish off the flies. And we'll see.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So, talk about a little bit. How can people find you?
Yep. Instagram's the easiest. Alpine Outdoors.
Alpine Outdoors.
It's easy. Yep.
Come out to Western Hunt Fest.
I'll be there.
I'm gonna be there.
I'll have my booth.
We didn't talk about this.
Oh, you got time?
We got some.
We got
a couple minutes here. Probably. So we just got done with our last Western Hunt Fest. We were at the Air Force Academy here in Colorado Springs. I've seen you compete in the Pack Out Challenge. How many times?
I don't know.
5, 6, 7.
Twice per weekend for.
Right.
I don't know.
And last Western Hunt Fest, hands down, best performance I've seen from you.
Yeah.
So I know you were upset because you finished second in a lot of things. You won the sprint challenge.
Yeah, that was luck.
Which was I was timing and scoring the sprint challenge, and you crushed the sprint challenge. Hit a 12 and
2/8.
12 and 2/8, which requires you to like sprint to a target, shoot it, take a sandbag, sprint, drop it off, sprint back, shoot again, sprint back, shoot it, pick your bag up, do it again. I mean, there's a lot of running that thing. Like it's well over 100 to 150 yards of sprinting.
The hard part was the hill.
Yeah.
Like coming back up that hill when you're cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Right.
But so you won that. Finished second in the Pack Out Challenge, but I thought was your strongest by far.
Yeah, felt pretty good.
Pack Out like effort. And not by much. Like it was really close. Just so happens to be to a guy who's considered really seasoned at doing those types of things.
Yeah, he's a bad dude.
A bad dude, which also found out he's coming to Mexico.
Yeah, he's we talked,
right? So, and then really evolving overall, right? Which is like your calling skills, right? Like you're a good caller, your shooting skills just as an archer, and then your ability to put weight on your back, get in a bucket, suck it, and just freaking get after it.
Yeah.
And, I think I've watched you do this a number of times now where I'm like, man, you can see you're like evolving and improving as an overall hunter. And like, I know for Jeff and Efren and Guy, like that's like their mission.
That's 100% their mission.
That is what it's about. It's like, how can you be a better outdoorsman right? Yep. And like, I was fired up for you. I was like, dude, you crushed it.
It was fun. It was a good one.
Talk a little bit about your, like, what have you been doing? Have you been doing intentionally kind of like focused work on all of those things, or has it just been that you're doing those things more?
The winter, I was very intentional about my training. Train a lot. Doesn't help that, or it doesn't hurt that I'm an ice fishing guide and I pull ice sleds all year long.
Yeah,
because we can't put snowmobile on the ice,
right?
So I just pull some ice sleds all winter long.
Yeah.
So there's little things, and like my day job right now, like I told you, I'm 5 miles in of pulling a power washing hose. So like,
Yeah.
it's the blue,
Some synergistic
that
qualities.
blue collar strength's not hurting me at all.
No.
But yeah, definitely shoot more. Calling, I definitely just picked up a call. Like I pulled a diaphragm out of my bino hub to do the calling contest, so I should probably work on that.
I think that's everybody's feeling. I mean, you obviously have seen and know the elite level callers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we've had 2 world champions come do seminars at Western Hunt Fest. I mean,
you have those guys, and then you have like the group of us, and it's kind of just who's going to mess up and who's going to, it's kind of we're never going to beat the elite guys up there, but it's kind of the hunter group that
so
elbow each other back.
Is the championship, like the overall, like is that like on your radar? You're like, I want that.
You know what's funny about Air Force? I wasn't even going to compete in Air Force Academy, like at all.
Yeah.
I was just going to come and hang out. And then there's something about your booth.
This guy I promise
your booth, Chance Skeleton.
Yeah.
And the Western Hunt Fest boys that I'm like,
send it.
I mean, how many times I did like 4 laps with other people on the pack out course? Like
he's the guy where you're like, I bet you won't do it. Like you sure? And all you gotta do is just give him a little, just give him a little nudge, just scratch him a little bit, and he's like, fine, all right, let's go.
Yep, that's me.
And I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But other than that, I feel like ripe old age is 34. I've started training a little bit smarter and a little bit more specific for September.
100%.
And that's year round now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about just climbing hills in January, February.
Yeah.
It seems to be paying off a little bit. Like
for sure.
I feel healthier now than I did 10 years ago. So doing something right.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
And I think it's so much of what we preach.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm now at the age where anything of athletic significance is so far in my rearview mirror, other than me doing my job and wanting to be able to execute what I try and teach and coach kids in and those types of things, which is it's just great, But at the end of the day, I'm like, the one thing you talk about, like dream hunt or whatever else. Like if you have one thing, like I've had a lot of, back issues, neck issues, and things like that. Like as far as being very limiting, like orthopedically, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember the last setback I had, the one thing that I asked my orthopedic specialist, I go, can I put a pack on my back? It's literally the only thing I asked. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, why? And I go, because the only thing that I really ultimately care about is being able to elk on September. And he's like, yeah, I think you'll be okay. And I'm like, perfect.
There you go.
Right. And it's like prioritization of like what matters the most.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not, don't get me wrong, like obviously family is super important and your health and well-being and whatever else, but it's like when it comes down to what you want to be able to do, what fires you up, right? It's like you're slowly seeing that become like a much more narrowed focus for you.
Yep.
Right.
And if you don't have that September hunt, all your other stuff's gonna
for sure.
If you don't have the thing that fires you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's crazy when you think about it in those terms too, right? Like I sometimes wonder if like there's something kind of screwy about all of us black jabs where
definitely
and it's synonymous throughout, all over the place with, guys that come from Kentucky and Wisconsin and whatever else. Although Kentucky has a lot of elk now, that are like, man, 1 week in September, right? And people are already just like, market, cannot wait. That is the best week of my whole entire year. Yep. It's like, sometimes I think we build it up too much because I know I've done that.
Oh, I build it up way too much every year.
I've had some hunts where we didn't, I didn't fill a tag, and the closer I got to the end of that hunt, the more like my mental status deteriorated horrifically. Mm-hmm. And it's like contextualizing it and learning to get better, which is trying to understand why you value it so much and why you enjoy it and love it so much, right? And so, number one, it's been awesome to watch you. It's great to get chances to continue growing and meeting people like yourself and I secretly and quietly like just cheer for all these like awesome people that we get to be around. And so I am going to figure out when we're going to go ice fishing.
Yep.
And I really want to go. I really want to go waterfowling too.
I know we need to.
Yeah.
Bad. We talk about it. I mean, we finally got the podcast checked off our list.
So we're slowly, folks. 1 year.
Yeah, it's slow.
one at a time.
Yeah.
So this coming year we're gonna at least get one of those other ones on the board.
Easy.
So, but awesome. I appreciate your patience. Today was kind of a bear trying to figure out how in the world all this technology. If it's gonna go bad, it will go bad for me. And tonight it did. So appreciate you. Go out and check out Alpine. Go out. Go to Western Hunt Fest. This guy's going to be there. He'll have a booth there as well, I'm sure.
We'll have all our stuff there.
And we'll make sure we leave all the connectivity there. We'll make sure people can find you. Book a fishing trip. Get out and ice fish if you've never done it. And man, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. You're gonna be in New Mexico?
Yep.
So awesome.
Yeah. I'm pretty good about it. So
it'll be fun. I'm excited. I just booked one of our cabins this week, and I'm like, it's exciting.
It's the best. Like, out of all the shooting events, it's by far the best one. And I was skeptical. Their first year did. I'm like, well, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Then I met Jeff. I know you're outroing, but I feel like this is worth a plug to Western Hunt Fest. I'm elk hunted with Jeff.
Yeah.
And him and I, like, right off the bat, were like, like we just clicked. And then I met Efren, and I'm like, man, these guys are good. And then I went to a Western Hunt Fest, and I'm like, this is the best. This is the best thing ever. Met you guys, and the family there and the camaraderie is, you can't find that. I like TAC. I like all the other shoots.
For sure.
But there's nothing that compares to Western Hunt Fest.
Yeah. I think we just have to continue spreading that word, right?
Yeah.
Because the community's there, the excitement, the culture, all that stuff is there. And if you haven't experienced it, go to westernhuntfest.com, get on Instagram, check it out, look at our page. There's so many great people there, and it's an opportunity to grow, to learn, to compete, to challenge yourself. And I think that it's all you can really ask for. And there's lots of fun mixed in there.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It's all smiles all weekend. So.
For sure. So, all right, brother, thank you so much for your time. Check out the show notes. We'll leave all the connectivity, how you can find Garrett. Get a fishing trip hooked up with this guy. Come out to Western Hunt Fest. See all of us. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. And we look forward to next time. See you down the road.